I'm Dr. Gautam, Professor and Head, Department of Orthodontics, School Institute of Dental Sciences. So all of you know that we are going through a bad phase because of the corona pandemic. Your classes are suspended and there is no practical classes and college is being shut down. So all the colleges are already conducting online classes, but there is some short fall in regard to your practical classes. Yeah, definitely you are learning a lot of theory through the online classes, but nothing is happening on the practical part. So we from the department thought we'll release a series of videos demonstrating how to do clasps, springs, or your retractors, or your removable appliances and upload, so that all the undergraduates who are stuck up in the house, they can use these videos and then practice on the models, so and then you can come back and submit whenever the college reopens. Hope these videos will be of use to you. Thank you.
Hi everyone, so as sir have already explained that we are going to start a series of videos on demonstration of clasp, spring, retractors and appliances every week or every alternate week. So starting with finger spring this week, I hope you all have an amazing and fun learning experience. So let's begin.
The following armamentarium is required for making a finger spring. First you need to have a dental cast and then a marker, and then you need to use an Adams plier, a universal plier, a archwire cutter and 0.7 millimeter archwire. Before going to the fabrication of the finger spring, first we will discuss about a few points related to the finger spring. What is a finger spring? Finger spring is an active component of the removable orthodontic appliance. When you say active component, what do you mean by that? Active component is something which is going to initiate or produce active tooth movement. The finger spring is basically used for mesiodistal movement of the tooth. Yes, it's not only used for closure of midline diastema, for also closure of spaces which are distal to the central incisors or for your lateral incisors. Finger spring basically consists of three parts. You can see here, right? One is the active arm, one is the helix, third part is the retentive arm. So finger spring, basically the point which you have to remember here is the active arm should always be longer than your retentive arm. The active arm and retentive arm can be of equal length, but the retentive arm should never be longer than your active arm. The principle regarding the finger spring is the longer your active arm, the lower will be the force level. The shorter is your active arm, the more will be the force level that is going to be produced. And when coming to helix, there are three important points which has to be removed. The helix should always be opposite to the direction of tooth movement. For example, if you are moving the teeth in a mesial direction, the helix should be distally placed. If you are moving the teeth in a distal direction, the helix has to be mesially placed. And then second point, the helix should always be along the long axis of the tooth. And the third point is helix should be away from the tooth surface, away from the gingival surface. You can see here, right, the active arm is towards the, when you see here, the active arm is towards the tissue and the helix is away from the gingival tissue. These are basically the three parts of your points to remember when you are fabricating a finger spring. Yeah, finally we come to the demonstration for a fabrication of a finger spring. Just start doing with a 0.7 wire. We are going to take the wire and then we are going to make it straight. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect because we are not doing a straight wire, but we are just doing a finger spring. Once you straighten the wire, you have to adapt the tooth around the cervical undercut. But since this is a case of a midline diastema, you can even pass it around the center of the tooth, center of the clinical crown, and then pass it and then cross it over to the palatal surface. So I'm just going to use an universal plier, then going to try to adapt it around the tooth surface. And then there are two ways you can do it. Whether you can use a gingival tag, or if you don't want to use a gingival tag, you can always even avoid using a gingival tag. See, right? I'm adapting it around the center of the clinical crown. Then you take a marker and mark it on the palatal surface. see the marking. I'm going to use this. It's going to cut the excess wire. See, right? Then comes to the helix. The helix should be, the active arm should be around 10 to 12 millimeters. So just take a rough estimation of how much an active arm should be there, and then just do a marking there, and then start making the helix. The helix should always be distal to the direction of tooth movement. So in this case, we are trying to close midline diastema, so the helix has to be in a distal direction. First point. The second point is the helix should always be away from the tooth surface, away from the gingival surface. So helix will be away, so that active arm is towards the gingival tissue. Let's take it around, take it around. This is the helix. Helix should be around 3 millimeters in diameter. Once you make the helix, just do a crossover of the helix to this position, and then the retentive arm should start exactly from the center of your helix. So I'm just taking a marking on the center of the helix, and then I'm going to make your retentive tag. Can you make it out? Yes. Now you adapt it over like this. This is excess wire which we are going to cut it off. That's how the thing is going to be. And then now I'm going to make a retentive tag. Retentive tag should always be facing a distal direction. Okay, once you make a retentive tag, just go to the corner and then give a bend like this. This is your retentive tag. Yeah, now comes the final step where you need to adapt the finger spring according to the palatal curvature. Your finger spring is ready.